The Vatican is facing a moment of great tension. The health of Pope Francis, which has been a cause for concern for months, has now reached an alarming level. At 88 years old, the spiritual leader of more than 1 billion faithful is dealing with increasingly complex medical challenges. Is this the harbinger of the end of his papacy? Or is there still hope for recovery? Stay until the end, as we will reveal information that could change the future of the Catholic Church. Before we begin, an important warning. What you will see in this video may change your perception of what is really happening in the Vatican. If you enjoy mysterious themes, prophecies, and hidden revelations, subscribe to the channel now. Activate the bell to not miss any videos, and leave your like to support our work. Now stay tuned, because what's coming next might surprise you. Since the beginning of his papacy, Francis has shown resilience in the face of difficulties. But this time the battle is different. The worsening of his respiratory condition resulted in an emergency hospitalization at the Gemelli Hospital in Rome. What began as an apparently controllable infection evolved into a severe pneumonia, affecting both lungs. For a man of his age, this is a considerable risk. Medical reports indicate that the situation is delicate. In addition to the lung infection, tests revealed a concerning reduction in hemoglobin levels and an insufficient number of platelets, clear signs of severe anemia. Blood transfusions became necessary to stabilize her body and ensure that oxygen circulates properly. Even so, the need for respiratory support with supplemental oxygen underscores the seriousness of the situation. Despite his fragility, Francisco maintains the posture of a leader. In a recent message, he declared that he is confident in the treatment and thanked the faithful for their prayers. But to what extent does this statement reflect reality? Is he downplaying his condition to avoid panic within the Vatican? Internal sources from the Holy See indicate that the atmosphere is one of apprehension. For a long time, the Pope has stated that he would not hesitate to resign if he could no longer perform his duties, following the example of Benedict XVI. But in this case, the problem goes beyond the continuity of his papacy. Doctors warn of the imminent risk of septicemia. If the infection spreads to the bloodstream, the situation could become irreversible. While the world watches with concern, a wave of solidarity is growing. In Rome, Buenos Aires, and various parts of the planet, thousands of faithful unite in prayer chains. But will that be enough? The future of the Vatican may be about to change in an unexpected way. The atmosphere in the Vatican is charged with tension and uncertainty. The health of Pope Francis, already fragile for months, has now become a global concern. With each new update, the anguish among faithful and religious leaders around the world grows. But as the prayers multiply, an inevitable question hangs in the air. What will happen if Francis does not recover? At St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan made a disturbing statement. "We find ourselves at the bedside of a dying father." Words that echoed as a warning about the gravity of the situation. In Cairo, the Grand Imam Ahmed al-Taib, one of the most influential figures in the Islamic world, published a message of solidarity asking God for the Pope's recovery. In Buenos Aires, his hometown, the obelisk was illuminated with the phrase, "Francisco, the city prays for you," a gesture that moved millions. While the world unites in prayer, the Vatican acts behind the scenes. Emergency measures have already been implemented. Archbishop Rino Fisichella took over commitments that were on the Pope's agenda, and the Sunday Mass at St. Peter's Basilica had to be conducted by another clergyman, further increasing speculation about the pontiff's real condition. In the corridors of the Holy See, there is a silent and calculated movement. Is the Vatican preparing for a succession? For months, the influence of certain cardinals who may be positioning themselves for a possible conclave has been growing. The papal succession is not a simple decision. Francis, with his progressive profile, faced resistance within the Church itself. Now, with his health deteriorating, conservative forces may try to regain control. But while this scenario unfolds, Francisco continues to fight. His health may be compromised, but his spirit remains resilient. The question that cannot be ignored is, will he be able to overcome this crisis and continue leading the Catholic Church? Or are we witnessing the final days of his pontificate? The doctors maintain a reserved prognosis. The treatment, which includes antibiotics, corticosteroids, and blood transfusions, has been effective, but the advance of age and respiratory complications pose a constant challenge. Each day brings a new uncertainty, and the fate of the Catholic Church may be about to change drastically. What do you think of this situation? Will Francisco be able to recover? Or are we witnessing the end of an era? Leave your comment and stay tuned, because in the next part we will reveal the possible developments of this crisis that could redefine the course of the Vatican. The weight of the years becomes increasingly evident in Pope Francis. Double pneumonia, early renal failure, and anemia are clear signs that even the most resilient leaders cannot defy time indefinitely. But what is most intriguing is not just his state of health, but the uncertainty about what comes next. In the corridors of the Vatican, whispers about a possible resignation can be heard. Nothing has been confirmed, but the signs are there. Will his condition force him to take a step back? Or will Francisco continue to surprise the world by demonstrating that his faith is stronger than any physical limitation? The Vatican is at a crossroads. The possibility of its incapacity raises profound questions about the future of the Catholic Church. While some believe that a miracle can reverse this situation, others see his departure as inevitable. This uncertainty hangs not only over the faithful, but also over the most influential members of the Church. What is known for sure is that Francisco is already preparing the ground for his farewell. His recent reforms to papal funeral rites show that he is fully aware of his mortality. By eliminating traditional practices of pomp and luxury, opting for a more humble ceremony, Francis reaffirms his identity as a leader of the people and not as a figure of power. Moreover, his decision to be buried in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, rather than in the Vatican grottos like previous popes, makes clear his desire to remain close to those he has always served. This is not just a symbolic gesture, but a powerful affirmation of his vision for the Church. Another key piece in his strategy is the new appointments of cardinals. With meticulous choices, he has shaped a cardinal college that can directly influence the selection of his successor and ensure that his reformist line continues, even after his departure. His last consistory significantly increased the number of cardinals of voting age, something that could define the future of the Catholic Church in the coming years. Even so, despite his weakened body and reduced mobility, Francisco continues to appear in public whenever possible. His effort is visible, and each appearance becomes a testament to his unwavering dedication. But the big question remains: how long will he be able to hold on? And you, what do you think? Should the Pope consider resigning or continue as long as his health allows? Leave your opinion in the comments. We want to know your view on this decisive moment for the Catholic Church. Pope Francis is facing a decisive moment. His weakened health raises questions about the future of the Vatican and whether his continued leadership of the Church is still viable. At 88 years old, he continues to make strategic decisions to ensure that his vision remains, regardless of what happens in the coming months. One of his most notable actions was the extension of Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re's term, at 91 years old, as Dean of the College of Cardinals. This choice reflects a strategy of stability, avoiding abrupt changes in leadership. The Vice Dean, Cardinal Leonardo Sandri, also had his term extended, reinforcing this stance. Since the beginning of his papacy, Francis has sought to expand the Church's representation. Recently, he appointed cardinals from strategic regions such as Latin America, Asia, and Africa, strengthening the Catholic presence in growing territories. One of the names that caught the most attention was that of Cardinal Ignace Besadagbo from Ivory Coast, who raised a historic possibility. We have not yet had an African pope, but that could change. Moreover, the Pope has been promoting figures aligned with the modernization of the Church, The Dominican Timothy Ratcliffe, a key figure in the Synod, advocates for a more inclusive institution, generating debates and controversies. The Archbishop of Lima, Carlos Gustavo Castillo Matasallo, also plays a central role in this movement, criticizing traditional practices and driving changes in Latin America. With these choices, Francisco ensures that his vision of the Church continues, even if his health does not allow him to lead for much longer. His strategy is clear: to consolidate reforms and influence the succession before time forces him to leave the position. But how much time does he still have? His physical challenges are evident. Double pneumonia, renal failure, and anemia signal that his endurance may be reaching its limit. Speculations about a possible resignation are growing, especially after the historic decision of Benedict XVI. Will Francisco hold out until the last moment, or will we see an unexpected transition in the Vatican? Leave your opinion in the comments and stay tuned, because the upcoming events could mark a new era for the Catholic Church. Francisco has already stated that he does not rule out the possibility of resignation, and this uncertainty keeps the world attentive to his next steps. Will his spirit withstand the physical limitations imposed by age? For many, he is a symbol of hope and resilience, someone who, even in decline, remains steadfast in transforming the Church. But reality is relentless. Time doesn't stop, and the signs of wear and tear become more evident. Each public appearance, each gesture, and each word are analyzed in search of clues about what is to come. At 88 years old, with a delicate health history and an exhausting schedule, inevitable questions arise. Are we witnessing the final chapters of his papacy, or does Francis still have surprises that could redefine the Vatican? His recent appearance with a bruise on his face sparked speculation. The Vatican clarified that it was just a bruise, but considering his physical condition, any incident raises questions. The need for a wheelchair, the constant pain in his back and knee are reminders that his endurance has limits. However, instead of slowing down, he keeps going, defying all predictions. While many expected a renewal in the leadership of the Church, Francis surprised by extending the term of experienced figures, like Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, 91 years old. This move indicates that he prefers stability over abrupt renewal, ensuring that his reforms are not reversed. The extension of Cardinal Leonardo Sandri's term, at 81 years old, reinforces this strategy of continuity. But Francis is also looking to the future. His last consistory expanded the diversity of the College of Cardinals, bringing in cardinals from Latin America, Asia, and Africa. Among the new appointees, Cardinal Ignace Besidogbo from Ivory Coast made an intriguing statement, suggesting that the Church could soon see an African pope. The appointment of strategic figures shows that Francisco is shaping a lasting legacy. He wants to ensure that his reforms remain, even if he is no longer in command. But will his health allow him to continue for much longer? Or will we soon see a historic transition in the Vatican? One of the names that stands out the most in the current Vatican scene is Timothy Ratcliffe, Dominican and a central figure in the Synod debates. His appointment as cardinal demonstrates Francis' commitment to promoting a more inclusive church. His rise, however, was not well received by everyone. Challenging traditional structures always generates resistance, and Ratcliffe now finds himself at the center of this internal battle. Another name that made an impact was that of the Archbishop of Lima, Carlos Gustavo Castillo Matasallo. His stance against ultra-conservative sectors and his call for structural changes have made him a key player in the transformation of Catholicism in Latin America. His choice is a clear message from Francis, reaffirming that he is not afraid to confront the more traditional currents within the Church. But despite his firmness, there is one detail that cannot be ignored: his health. Each public appearance of the Pope is scrutinized in detail. His difficulty walking, signs of fatigue, and frequent pauses fuel rumors of a possible resignation. Would Francis be the second pope in modern history to abdicate? The precedent set by Benedict XVI changed the perception of the papacy, making resignation a viable option. Francis, in turn, has already declared that a pope who feels he cannot continue has the right and the duty to leave the position. However, his stance still indicates that he wishes to continue leading. But if he resigns, who will take his place? The recent strategic moves within the Vatican show that Francis is shaping the succession. With the appointments he has made, he has ensured that a large part of the College of Cardinals is aligned with his vision. But the struggle for the future of the Church will not be easy. There are groups within the Vatican that desire a more conservative successor, who will reverse some of the changes promoted in recent years. The internal tensions are real, and the choice of the next pope will depend on the strength of these currents at the decisive moment. Meanwhile, Francisco continues to be a figure who evokes both admiration and controversy. For some, he is a reformer who brought a new era to Catholicism. For others, his leadership has led the Church down a risky path. Now the big question remains: are we witnessing the end of his pontificate, or does he still have the strength to surprise the world? Leave your opinion in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more analyses on the future of the Vatican. See you in the next video.